So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tampa Bay Banter podcast. I'm so excited for my guest today, Dan Bavaro. Thank you so much for coming on. If you haven't heard of Bavaro's Pizza yet, then you're kind of living under a rock because you guys are making waves here in Tampa Bay, all over the place now, multiple locations. Thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us out.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to hanging out with you for
Yeah,
a bit.
this will be fun. I'll make it painless, I promise. So you guys have been in business now. You just mentioned 16 years.
Yeah.
Wild. I believe I read you were originally from New Jersey. Is that correct?
Correct, Jersey boy.
So what Jersey, was that where you were born initially?
Yeah, born and raised in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you make the transition to Tampa?
Yeah, so started a transportation business when I was 19.
Okay.
Chauffeuring around, so I bought a car, needed something to do. High school dropout at 16. So I found my way to get into business, luckily. And built that business over a course of a few years, and then when I was 27, I sold it, and I was consulting for a bit. Actually, 3 years. I thought it would be one because I'm not designed to work for other people.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So, so I wanted to get into food. I didn't have a college education, didn't really know much else. So I figured food might be an avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, so pizza, particularly, obviously Northeast. So when I owned the limousine business, we were doing really well. I was trying to buy like a pizzeria or two, but it just never panned out. So when the company sold, I focused on Neapolitan pizza. Okay. And at the time, there was only maybe like a handful in the country. No one knew what it was. So passion for Italian food. It's obviously my heritage. My family's from Napoli, my mother's side. So I was like, all right, this is something I could dive into. So we decided to come to Tampa for a few reasons. Number one, I wanted to get out of the Northeast. The family wanted to pack up and start over. Sure. Another piece was we wanted to get into real estate. Okay. So we traveled down here to Tampa often on vacations, short vacations, and stumbled upon downtown. Found some real estate. The building that we're in is 1,000 square foot, small hole in the wall. Yeah. And it was available for sale. So in the Northeast, you can't buy anything in New York City.
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
That thing at the time was like 300,000 and 1,000 square feet in Tampa, and Manhattan you're talking 3 million.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So it was that, and then on the business side of it, it was about retaining the market for a while. Okay. Because I knew my business sense was telling me when people find out what this Neapolitan pizza thing is, it's going to be everywhere in the Northeast. Sure. And you lose your impact. Yeah. I'm like, Florida. From the Northeast, no one cares about Florida, unfortunately. I love it to death, so that's not my perception. Obviously, we moved here. But I figured, you know what? We open this down there. We're going to hold it for a while. Yeah. It was 7 years before a Neapolitan pizzeria opened in Tampa.
Were there a lot in New York at that time? Or New Jersey?
No, there was one in Manhattan, none in New Jersey. I'm talking like real. Well, one in New Jersey, like true Neapolitan pizzerias. Okay, it's like you come out here and it's like New York pizza, and they're really not. There are a couple places that do it really well. Yeah. Back then, no, there was like a dozen throughout the United States because it's such a craft, and no one really caught on to it. Yeah. So coming down here, it was decision of real estate. Plus, it's a 2-hour flight back home. Yeah. Tampa's a great place to raise kids versus like a Miami or one of those areas. Yeah, totally. So all those factors kind of got us here.
Yeah, and I want to go back to when you mentioned high school dropout. Then you were you got a car. So was that like a taxi business you're doing, like chauffeuring?
It was like high end.
Okay.
I started with one car, and a gentleman that was mentoring me connected me to another guy who ran a business in New York, and it was chauffeured services. So think, black town car, tinted out windows, suits. Okay, yeah, So we drove like, over the course of the few years that I had built the company, it started doing like airports for families, and I'm like, this isn't where I want to be. Wound up getting some people at Citigroup, wound up driving the top 10, you're talking $30 million a year guys. Wow. They were all my clients, first name basis. The CEO of Citigroup, we used to do packages for the founder of Citigroup, and then I kind of branched off into sports. New Jersey Devils. We did some of the Yankees. Robert De Niro. Then we went to red carpets. So like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, they all Jay-Z, Beyonce. They all be in our cars.
That's that's so wild.
It was crazy.
That is crazy. And so, but you couldn't have started that when you were 16, right?
No. I incorporated when I was 19.
When you were 19, still very
16,
young.
I was dropping out. 16, so they gave me an ultimatum. Like, either get the hell out or you leave yourself.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. That's amazing. And then, so I guess, was it just your passion for food that made you decide? Because obviously you were doing well with this. I mean, you had major people you were riding around doing that business with.
Something told me it was time to get out. The problem with that business, I'll tell you, is back then, a lot of it was direct bill accounts.
Okay.
So I went to Citi, for instance, I'll explain it all. I went to Citigroup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I got a little situation with cash flow. This is when I knew nothing really about business. I was just building things.
Right.
And they're like, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, we take our client, we charge them, they pay us in 90 days. Meanwhile, I got gas bills, Easy Pass.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Payroll every week.
Hopefully this
our gas bill was like, at one point, like $20,000, $30,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
Gas. I was like, I can't pay this stuff because I ain't getting. And they're like, well, you got to push your clients to pay. I was like, well, I'm thinking if you give me some money, I could use that to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I can't do that, unfortunately. She's like, but let me see your client list. Maybe I could help you. Guess who owed me the most money?
Who's that?
Citigroup. And they told me no. I was like, so you won't give me a $100,000 line of credit, but you owe me $150,000.
That's so crazy. That's a crazy story. Yeah. So once you got here in Tampa, you mentioned the place downtown. How long did it take you guys to get up and start running?
Yeah, so I actually purchased the real estate in 2007. 2008, started to build it out.
Okay.
And, I had a good gig. When I was consulting, the company that had bought my company was the third largest high-end chauffeur company in the world. It was like 30 plus million a year, Oscars, Emmys, they had it all locked down.
Wow.
So I was treated very well. It was really hard to leave because financially it was at my best,
Yeah.
No
Did you sell it?
Well, I did sell my company to them, but they kept me on.
I see. Okay.
I had to stay a year.
Got it.
To keep my business that I had sold.
Okay.
But we wound up keeping it and like doubling it.
Got it.
So he's like, you can't go. I was like, I'm going to leave.
Right.
So yeah, it wound up being 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 years to get the first.
Yeah. So bought the location, sat on it for a year, didn't do anything. The second year started to build it out. And then there's what happens in 08 and 09.
Yeah, market crash, yeah.
And we're seeing it first because we have this huge clientele of the financial industry.
Right.
So everything just starts like canceling. And I think AIG Insurance Company, they had some big, to-do party out in San Francisco. And they were all over the news nationwide. And we had the service for it. Because you weren't supposed to be spending money. And they're out there having these lavish parties.
Right.
They had like $60,000 in car service for like 2 days. It was like crazy. Yeah, they got busted. I was like, all right, something's happening. So that was kind of like the last hurrah.
It must have been killing you to sit on that location for a year and not having to do anything originally. Or was
financially?
It all being, yeah.
We just sold the company. They were paying me really well. Honestly, I really wasn't feeling it because I knew that I was going to do something with it. And, so we built it out the second year. Financial crisis hits. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? This whole economy thing is going to change in transportation. So screw it. We moved down on my 30th birthday. It was December 28th.
Wow.
A couple of days after Christmas. Got in the U-Haul. We had 4 kids at the time. Moved to Tampa. And then the place was already built out, so the doors opened of March of 2009.
Okay, so
March 9th. So this thing was ready to go.
Okay, so once you got here, then
I was doing and dreaming all this stuff and studying.
Yeah.
I used to have, we have a 100-year-old yeast culture we use at the restaurant for our dough.
Yep.
I got that from Italy like 2-3 years before I had moved. We moved and we opened the restaurant. So I was kind of like doing this stuff at the house. I was planning. I didn't know anything about the restaurant business.
Right, sure.
I was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it all I got.
Yeah.
And that's it. We opened doors March 9th, 2009.
Well, and that's the crazy part too. Like, so you didn't have much experience or any knowledge of the restaurant business, and then you're also getting in probably one of the most competitive type of restaurant businesses there are out there. What made you even think you had what it takes to succeed? I mean, I would imagine I would be completely stressed out. That is this the right thing to do? Why? How did you just know? I guess I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work.
I'll tell you. So it's crazy how that all happened, because behind the scenes, just think about it, packing up 4 kids, moving down, leaving all your family.
Yeah.
You know, my family in the Northeast, there's like 60 of us. We're all together Christmas
Sure.
Eve and stuff.
Big Italian family.
Big family. And everybody's saying, Florida, Tampa, have you watched Cops? I mean, what New Yorkers think about Florida and Tampa, especially 16 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
It's bad, you know? Like, what are you doing? You're going to come back broke. Yeah. So we had all that pressure, you know, coming down. I'll be honest, as far as like, is it going to make it? Is it not going to make it? I kind of like burned the boats when we moved. Mm-hmm. There's no option to go back.
Yeah.
So how did we make it? Luckily, the first year, I had a severance package from transportation. They said, look, we know you're going to go. We want to support you, but we don't want to lose the millions in business you brought to us.
Sure.
So just retain relationships for 1 year and we'll pay you.
Got it.
If that didn't happen, we would have been closed.
Really?
Not only not knowing the business, downtown Tampa, well, you're a Tampa guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
2009, you remember what that was like?
Yeah, deserted.
No buildings, no grocery stores,
yeah.
no people walking around.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing a fraction of what we're doing now in business, because downtown just wasn't developed. I used to get emails, would you ever live downtown? Because population is like 50 people. And I'm like, and then it was like, could a Publix survive here?
Right, sure.
And it was rough. I mean, there were 7 of us at the time, my wife and 5 kids. We were living in a 900 square foot 2-bedroom apartment. My daughter had the master room closet as a bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
And we did that for 7 years.
Wow. So you really went through the struggle
just to get it off the ground. And I worked every shift. I'm the only one to make pizza.
Yeah.
For 5.5 years. After the first 2 months we opened, I had guys from Italy help open the store.
Sure.
And then they went and left. They could only stay 2-3 months. And then I took over pizza. So
yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you, and you kind of just answered it there, is how long did it really take for it to start making money for you and take off? And you mentioned like about 7 years or so.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you noticed like in Tampa's like economic change or just shifting downtown that made it start working for you? Or was it just the consistency of what you guys were doing with the product?
Yeah, I'm not going to take credit for any. Well, I'll put it this way. I'll take some credit for what we were doing, because we never chinsed out on anything. Like when the economy got really bad, we were already open. A lot of restaurant owners were coming in and they're like, hi, I'm this person. I got a couple restaurants here. They're like, you need to buy cheaper ingredients and charge less. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, got it.
We were importing the most expensive Italian cheese, which is like mozzarella di bufala. We were the biggest importer in Florida at that time.
Oh, wow.
Since then, we changed cheese because of moisture content. But, yeah, we just stay focused. So I think what helped us grow, to answer your question, is very clear. We provide a great product at a fair price, and we're consistent. Yeah. But downtown developed.
Sure. It's developed a lot more even in the last few years. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so if we offered a product that was not good, and we weren't true to what, if like we're saying something that we're not, we wouldn't be over there. Yeah. Plus, we are so engaged in the community. Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of community. In all the communities we're in, we're always giving.
Yeah, that's amazing. Give me some examples of some of the community-type charities or things that you...
Yeah, so we've been supporting the Tampa Theater for a very long time.
Love the Tampa Theater.
Down the street, the Strauss Center. On Bikes is a huge event that happens once a year in Curtis Dixon Park, where they donate over 1,500 bikes to at-risk kids. Yeah. We pretty much donate all our food. We feed, the 1,000, 2,000 people that go there.
That's awesome.
That's some of the stuff. Then we'll do like small things here in St. Pete. It's what is it, Casa St. Pete, where the
Casa, yeah.
Yeah, Casa. So someone I know wrote a book about 100 days of self-healing. Sure. So, like, I called my admin one day. I got the book to support my friend who wrote the book and published it on Amazon.
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, buy 24 books and go drop it off at Casa.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool.
So we'll do a lot of that stuff where we're, like, not talking about it. Yeah. It's just who we are.
So after the Tampa location starts working well for you, how long did it take for you to make that decision that I need to open another location?
Oh, man. No one counts those. No one counts that process. They see Instagram and like, oh man, you're doing great. It's I should post all the stuff that don't work.
Sure, exactly, right?
Yeah, so opened To answer that, we opened in 2009. We started jarring pasta sauce. Okay. In the back of the restaurant, a couple cases at a time. Used to do it when I was a kid with my family in New Jersey. We'd bottle the sauce for the year. And we did that to go to farmers markets to bring attention downtown. You know, way back, right? Farmers markets were different than they are now.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, if they like the sauce, they'll come in. And we actually didn't even have pasta on the menu from the beginning. We did that so we could do catering and so we could do the pasta sauce in the jars to draw attention to the restaurant. The reason why I'm saying this is because we didn't just jump into growing restaurants. We wound up out of the back of that 1,000 square foot, restaurant in the small 10 by 10 kitchen, started bottling sauce, and we took that into over 2,000 grocery stores across the country.
Oh, wow.
So we built a 6,000 square foot manufacturing facility for pasta sauce.
I didn't realize
Costco, A&P, all these major brands. We were in, New York City, Long Island. I was getting calls from California. Your sauce is on the shelf,
That's amazing.
Yeah, we did very well. Gary, longtime team member of ours, and he actually worked with me in New York in the limousines. He kind of did the sales for that. So he's still with us in Tampa. But anyway, that was our first step in growth.
Okay.
Ran that 3 years, didn't really work out. We had to close it. We tried doing like a license, which is kind of like a franchise deal out in Orlando. It was just a bad location. So that ran 2 years, closed that. So you're starting to feel these stings.
Yeah,
and I'm like, the factory was a big one.
Yeah.
We had investors on that and lost like $1 million. Same thing with Orlando. Luckily, they owned the building. They sold it, so it was kind of the reason why we got out of it.
Okay.
So then, like St. Pete, I come to Tampa. I start looking at St. Pete over the bridge, like, what's going on over there? Something's good, So we wound up getting some real estate here, Central Avenue, when it was affordable before all the development.
Yeah, it sounds like you got in at good times in these areas.
Always before the gentrification of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And wound up opening in 2016. It was June of 2016. And I showed people the restaurant before and when it was being built. And they're like, dude, you're going to lose your butt here. Because there was nothing on Central Avenue at the time. I think it was just King's next to us, which sold like hot dogs and hamburgers.
Yeah. And
there was nothing in that few block radius.
Right.
And man, we opened a door. I give credit to Laura Riley. She was the food writer for the Tampa Times at the time.
Okay.
And she knew Neapolitan pizza because we were still trying to educate people. And she's traveled to Italy a lot. And she just wrote the most beautiful article on Bavaro's.
Oh, wow.
Basically solidifying everything I've been trying to say for like
she
everybody's like, no, that's not true. That's not true. And then she writes this thing and everybody's like, you're right the whole time. I'm like,
it's funny how that works, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so she writes the article. I find out it's going to hit on Friday. We don't even have food in the building.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's like Thursday.
That's got to be nerve-wracking.
And we didn't even have our certificate to open.
Oh, really?
We got it that morning, Friday morning. I had all our cooks in the other restaurants getting all the food ready. We got our license. We brought all the food over. Staff never even seen. I'm showing them pictures. We're training servers on pictures. We opened up the doors. I believe it was a Friday. Did 400 covers and 70 seats the first night.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't stop from that day forward.
Wow. So that was a hit right off the bat.
Hit right off the bat.
And you want to say part of that was from that article. A
lot kicked it off was the article.
Yeah.
And then it was, St. Pete's a huge food city. And, we got some slack for being like a Tampa business coming over to St. Pete. So we were dealing with that for a little while.
Yeah.
And, but once you do right by the community, you put a good product out, people will support you.
Yeah, what's this Tampa St. Pete beef? I was just having a conversation about
what
this.
that is.
I hate
it's
it.
for real, though.
It's unnecessary.
Listen,
it is for real.
I was talking to someone else that owns coffee shops, and they're like, yeah, we kind of want to go over to St. Pete, but they don't like Tampa people.
They don't.
I was getting hate mail in my inbox.
Really?
Like on Facebook and Instagram. They were talking trash about my kids. I'm like, who are these people?
Because you came to St. Pete?
Because we opened the business in St. Pete.
That's ridiculous.
They're protective of their area. I get it. So over time, that kind of goes away once they see who you are,
Yeah. So, we mentioned, St. Pete was your next location. And now, you've got several.
Next one was 2 months later. We opened
the
airport.
It was only 2 months later in the airport?
It was a lot.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm on this high, right? You're on this high because you're batting 1,000 now.
Yeah,
and then We went and got some real estate downtown Sarasota, bigger project, and that was like a disaster building it out. That was like another wake up call that people don't know. That almost put us out of business. Actually,
The Sarasota location.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Trying to get it open. It's a freestanding building. It was 2 stories.
Oh, wow.
So our other restaurants are in line, so there's like buildings next to you and
Sure.
stuff, so you don't have to worry about the surrounding grounds.
Okay.
I learned the hard way of what site work is.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like we did the budget, we're going to do this to the restaurant, that to the restaurant, and then unfortunately we had a contractor kind of went rogue on the project.
Yeah.
Pissed the city off.
Oh, no. That's awful.
And next thing I know, everybody like wanted to kill me.
Oh, really?
You know, there was like a tree that was taken out, and then there
Oh,
was
you can't
some
see
stained
that.
glass window that was 100 years old that accidentally broke because I
Yeah.
wanted to keep it, and
Okay.
they were on site every day, so we wound up getting into like a lawsuit between the two of us.
Oh, no.
And then I had to get another contractor, and my bank was pissed. I had to go back to them twice to get more money to finish the job. It was like a year and a half. I probably lost like 20 something pounds. It was just stress.
Really?
It was brutal. So we're on year 5 now. It's a lot better.
Okay.
So things are going much better for us down there.
So we went from Tampa to St. Pete to the airport to Sarasota.
Yes.
And then Clearwater, I would assume then.
Clearwater,
next.
yeah, we did do one while Sarasota was being developed.
Okay.
This was my bright idea. I was told by one of my mentors, don't do it.
Uh-huh.
I said, no, it's going to work. He's like, don't do it. I put one in a food hall,
Oh, okay.
and then that closed.
Oh, geez.
So I thought I was going to make some money. And we
Well, that
lost some
seems
money.
like a good idea. I probably would have been with you. Food halls,
Yeah.
there's tons of foot traffic always going
it
through.
works if you're like an owner-operator.
Okay.
Like if you're going to do it and you're going to work it,
Yeah,
it makes sense.
but if you can't
you
be there
got
every
staff,
day.
you got marketing, you got an accounting office, you got all this stuff, and all those bills got to get paid out of there, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then lastly, then would be Amalie Arena, correct?
Yeah, so we did Clearwater Beach January of last year.
Okay.
We opened it twice. The joke. We opened it twice in 1 year because it got destroyed in the hurricane.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then through that, when things are down, sometimes you get a bone.
Yeah.
And that was Amalie.
Yeah, so how did that deal come about? Because I feel like that's got to, I mean, you tell me if it's good business or not. It seems like it would be because, again, constant foot traffic going through there.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of people like every other day for hockey games during hockey season.
Plus concerts.
And concerts,
it's like
things like
150
that.
events a year over there.
Yeah, which is huge. And it's, I read somewhere it was like one of the most sold out arenas in the country. Like we do.
I think it's in the top 10 arenas in the country.
Something
Not
like
just
that.
by events, but just like, Vinnick and his team there. It's like really, really
Yeah,
well
Vinnick has
ran.
been so great for the
Yeah,
community.
He's done a great job. He
Yeah.
runs a really tight facility. So.
Yeah. So what has that been like for your business? Has it changed your business at all for being in there? Is it?
It's kind of like the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know, like that airport location just didn't open.
Yeah.
That was a 3-year process to get that open.
Wow.
From the minute I met the group that like runs the restaurants in the airport to opening was 3 years. To
Wow,
the
really?
T, yeah.
That's crazy.
But that kind of just like stamps your brand. You're like, all right, you're an airport. You're a real business.
yeah.
So Amalie happened, and thanks to Brooke Palmer who
Yeah.
got us together, RSB Events. She helped get that deal done, and it is good for our business in many ways.
Yeah.
A lot of it is brand recognition.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I never thought people would eat vodka sauce,
Really?
at the
yeah.
arena.
Sure, yeah.
But that penne alla vodka is like probably one of our top sellers
Really?
since the restaurant has opened, and
That's
they are like
awesome.
loving it over there. So yeah, it's been good for us.
So one of the things, Neapolitan pizza, it's very traditional. Correct me if I'm wrong when I say that, but it's got like a very traditional style to it.
Yeah.
How do you kind of, one, maintain consistency across 5 different restaurants or so on? And then, like, how do you also maintain, like, a great product with all the new kind of, like, modern, trendy things you
Yeah.
see coming out nowadays?
Yeah, so not easy.
Yeah.
The modern trending
Uh-huh.
is easier.
Okay.
I got a guy's name's Jordan. He's been working with us for a few years. Super talented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy knows more. I finally found someone who knows more about dough and yeast and bread than I do. Because that's
what
my
you-
contribution. I'm not
yeah.
like a chef or anything.
Sure.
Like you put some ingredients, I could whip something up decent, but like I'm not recreating the wheel in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. So he kind of focuses on that. And then we just watch trends, even marketing, even our team. They're like, hey, this is trending, or this looks like it's going to be trending. And then we just kind of adapt.
Right.
We'll adjust our menu twice a year. And then we'll do like seasonal specials for people who come in and they just don't want that core Bavaro menu.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them revert back to the core menu. It's just,
Right.
what we're about. So that's kind of like the idea on like being creative. That's how we do that. As far as like the consistency with Neapolitan pizza,
Sure.
it's so hard.
I would imagine. Yeah,
It
I
is
would
so
imagine.
hard. Like I wouldn't let anybody touch the dough back when we first opened.
Oh wow.
It's like, no, you don't know. And at the time,
get,
no one really knew. They didn't know.
Right.
But it's not just like a pizza on a plate. You can't look at it that way.
Sure.
I mean, this is a culture dates back, to the 1800s. We're using a 100-year-old yeast culture. So what is that for those that don't know? It's a live organism. It's a mixture of flour and water that's a live organism. And we have to feed this thing 3 times a day, whether we make dough or not. Now, if it's raining out, it reacts different. If it's cold out, it reacts different. If it's hot out, it reacts different. Plus, we're importing flour. It's 00. It's super fine. It's milled extra, so it's like a talcum powder. Very sensitive, and it's not bromated, not bleached.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's pure. That mixture together with sea salt and water, we have a reverse osmosis process we use for our water to get all the hardness out of it.
Yeah.
You can't manage that. Like if I made dough every day for a year with my hands,
Right.
and a pizza every day, every one will be different. There's just no way that it's the same.
Yeah.
New York style pizzas and those other pizzas that you're accustomed to, like why does Domino's look so, consistent? It's bleached and it's bromated and it's not natural yeast, so they can make it picture perfect every single time. But it's not healthy. It's not not as digestible. It's really not good for you.
Yeah.
Whereas people who really understand this, and not true celiacs, but those that have digestion issues with the gluten, you could eat our pizza no problem.
Oh, so okay, you can.
It's 100% all natural. There's nothing in there.
So it is.
But that comes at a price of skill sets.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that considered then? Like, would you say it's gluten free?
No,
or
it's not gluten-free.
It's not gluten free, but
it's-
if you have a gluten allergy,
It's just digestible. Yeah, because a lot of the
Okay.
stuff is not so much the gluten. You got all the stuff that they pump into it
yeah,
to do all these things. That's where that's where the problems start.
yeah,
So-
and we talked about consistency, and I think that why people go to certain places like a fast food chain, like a McDonald's, for example, wherever you are in the country, you go there because you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And it sounds like with this type of product, it's very hard.
You could go to the restaurant every day, 7 days a week.
It'll
and
be
your pizza
different.
will be different.
Yeah.
Now, the idea is to let's not make it totally different, but there's going to be a small percentage of difference.
Yeah.
It's not only like I just gave you one piece of the puzzle. It's just making the dough.
Yeah.
Then there's like the oven. We use wood ovens. There's, throw a log in, it gets hot. You need the flame. The flame causes the dough to poof.
Right.
You need a certain amount of heat to make the dough rise. The oven temperature of the temp of the oven, when you put the pizza in, it's got to be like 815 to 30 degrees.
Yeah.
Right? And then you cook your pizza, it drops down to 730. So the cooks need to know, like, I can't use that spot anymore. I have to go to another hot spot. And then as you're making pies throughout the night, like all this is clicking through that pizza maker's mind.
Yeah.
Is the dough wet? Is it dry? Is it this? Do I add flour as he's spinning it? All this stuff is going on. There's probably 1,000 things going on just so you could have your pizza on your plate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's crazy to think about because people don't think about that.
They don't think about
that at
That's
all.
what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, how'd they do today at the pizza?
Yeah.
And then you hear like someone's leaving, they're moving out of the area and they got a new guy. I was like, all right, well, how long has he been making pizza? Well, he's kind of just started. And I was like, oh. I can't handle that.
Yeah, and I want to
stress goes through the roof.
I wanted to ask you about that. So what is the training process like for your employees to make sure that they are meeting like your standards or Bavaro's standards of pizza?
We all got our eyes on it,
Uh-huh.
and we try to hire the best people we could possibly hire, and it's not always someone that has all the skill because it's hard to find someone who has true Neapolitan skill.
Sure.
So we'd almost rather someone who's actually has movement. They're quick, sense of urgency,
Sure.
and someone who can multitask.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have a sense of urgency and you can multitask, we could teach you pizza and you'll be fine.
Okay.
It'll probably, depending on your learning ability, which is crazy because I've you think culinary chefs and all these people could pick up pizza faster? No way.
Yeah.
I've had more female pizza makers that never touch dough learn way faster than every man that I've ever taught.
They seem to make better employees. I will say.
So so it could take anywhere between a couple weeks to a few months.
Okay.
Before they could actually be on their own.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a hands-on training.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be. And so I did read somewhere in 2021, I believe you launched like a incentive program for your employees. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Something
well,
like that?
We've done a few things. So
okay. Well,
what would you read?
Well, from the note it didn't give me any description. It just said that you launched one in 2021, a particular incentive program. I don't know what it was at that time.
We were doing 21 through COVID. I mean, it was probably like referring staff because that was very
staff referrals. Okay.
Hiring process.
Yeah.
We were also offering hiring bonuses. So like, we'll get creative. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I guess the point that I was trying to get at was, especially with restaurant business, I've been in restaurant business before where like you do get high turnover typically, and that's got to be hard. That's got to be hard, especially again with a product that requires so much consistency and learning and training.
Yeah.
So I was curious what you do to have a strong, dedicated team, and keep them.
Yeah. So I look at that as kind of like percentages, right? So let's just say you got 100 people on the team. We have more now. We're probably approaching maybe 2. But if 20% of those people are all bought in, they will then impact the second group, which they're in, but they're only in for a period of time because the restaurant business is like a stepping stone for most people.
Yeah.
So as long as we keep them engaged, that 20% will then infect good stuff to that percentage of people. Yeah. Then there's the one, the group that they just want to come and make money, and usually those kind of filter out.
Right.
If they get 10 cents more across the street, they're going to leave. There's no loyalty.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's a good percentage of staff in hospitality, period.
Sure.
So how do we combat that? We pay very well.
Yeah.
We're definitely above the average in pay.
Okay.
We do our best to treat everybody the best we possibly can. We have other incentives like, employee meals and health insurance. So really I think it comes down to like how people are treated. Our core team really does a great job.
Yeah.
I know just about everybody's name.
Okay.
If I need to walk in and someone in dish is having a problem, I'm going to scrub a pot.
Yeah, sure.
It's less and less now, obviously, because of the impact of everything now. I got to be more using my mind, obviously, than physically.
And so many locations, you got to be all over.
Yeah, it gets challenging.
I'm sure.
And with that, I just rely on our leaders in the company, and we talk a lot. We communicate a lot. I'm always receptive to feedback. They need to be receptive to feedback. So I think it just trickles down from how I personally speak and treat others, and then those that aren't like that, we don't tolerate it. We got better at not tolerating.
That's good.
Because it's like if I could walk in and talk to anybody, like we're coworkers, why can't you? Like who made you the hierarchy?
Sure. Yeah. And I think a huge part of it is culture too now, right? Because especially like the younger generation now, they care more about a good culture than they do even pay in a lot of cases. So just feeling like they do have an owner or boss or whoever that they can come talk to makes a huge difference in going to work every single day.
My phone's always on for people who want to chat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It always is. And we've helped us, you name it, we've done it to help people out.
Yeah.
Usually we get the short end of the stick, but that's okay.
Still happens when you're at the top.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I had a guy last week, was having a rough day. A lot of bad things were just popping in, So I always feel like if you ever see Bavaro's or Dan Bavaro going extra on all the donations or community involvement, it means like I'm combating what I'm dealing with.
Oh, okay.
So he was a dishwasher from 22. And I don't know how he got my number. Someone gave it to him. I get this text. And he's like, I can't get my car registered because I got tickets. And I'm reading them. I was like, who is this? And he's like,
It's a random text.
yeah, it's just some random text. And then he's like, oh, I'm so-and-so. I used to be your dish guy in St. Pete, but because it was so busy, I couldn't move my car every 2 hours, so I piled up tickets.
Oh, I see.
So I'm just like, all right, just look, I'm not promising anything. Send me your, the proof. And
Yeah.
the photos of the back of the restaurant. It's true. We have a problem here. You got to move your car.
Yeah, well, we
It's
know very well,
ridiculous. So
yes.
they pile it up. He's like, look, my kids, I don't have the money. I can't get them to school. I have no family here. It's like, I really need your help. Can you pay 25% of my ticket cost? I have the rest of the money.
Wow.
So I call my admin. I'm like, make sure this is legit.
Yeah, just double check.
So she's looking, pulls
Could
it
be
up.
some type of online
Yeah,
scam
yeah.
or something.
Sends me everything.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was like, pay them all off.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, that's an amazing culture.
Yeah.
And is this person still with you today?
No, he left in 2022.
He left right after those tickets
But
were paid
he's
off.
no, yeah.
He took that
No,
car
he
and drove out
hasn't.
of
He hasn't
town.
worked for us in a year, but he's trying to reboot his life. He had some challenges, but he was a good employee, and he left for a real reason, not just like he didn't show up.
Yeah.
This guy contributed, I think, for like a year and a half, and it's, he said the right trigger words. He's got kids, can't get them to school. He's got no money. No one's there to help him.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel that. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it's, people have helped me when I'm down and out.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
So you've been doing this now 16 years, which is a long time.
Yeah.
Right. What would you say maybe are some of the biggest lessons you learned, or maybe somebody who wants to follow in your footsteps that has the same kind of mindset? I want to be an entrepreneur, start my own business. What have you learned along the way that you could have told your younger self 16 years ago, or you would tell somebody who's asking you for that advice?
Yeah, I would definitely say, I think my go-to to answer that question, I've been very lucky. 46, just turned 46. I've been responsible for the income since I was 19. Not only mine, my livelihood,
Sure.
but many people. And I take that very serious because, like, my decisions impact all these people that operate in our company, right? Our team. But I'll tell you, there's weeks I work 100 hours, there's weeks I work 50. It's not a 40-hour work week in either of those industries. They're both very rough.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I've never worked a day in my life
Wow. That's awesome.
because I love what I do. So I think number one would be to anyone, find something you love to do and then just let go and give it all.
Yeah. I love that advice, and I do agree with that. I mean, it's if you really, like you said, if you really enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work to you, and you're passionate about it, you're going to give the best you possibly can.
Best you possibly can. It's like when we moved down here. You know how many people told me I come back broke? Haven't had too many supporters in my life, I'll be honest with you. Growing up, grew up kind of rough, made a lot of bad decisions from 12 to 20. Like, it took me a couple of years to get out of the stuff that I was doing when I opened my first business. So it was never really positive reinforcement, let's say, only from a few people. One still, his name's Joe Bolito. He's been closest known me since I was 14, all phases of my life. It's like one of my go-tos that's always supported me, So, like, if you're going into the business, in any business, obviously find what you love to do and do it. The next thing you got to kind of have, like, close your ears a little bit, because you're going to find not many people are going to support you. The closest people to you will probably not support you.
Yeah.
And the reality of that is, maybe in their life, they never took the step. So they're like bitter about it themselves, or, well, I didn't do that, so and it's subconsciously.
Sure.
Very few people, even nowadays,
Yeah.
did Clearwater. People tell me, you're going to go clear this and that. And, you buy your buildings. Why are you going to rent one? You know what I'm saying? It's just the negativity. And that just fuels me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
I'd
That was
never
my
be
next
nothing
question.
my whole life. When I was a kid, they're like, you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be dead. Pick one.
Yeah.
And what are they saying now?
Exactly, yeah. And now it's like, look at me now.
Fuel.
I also agree with the comment you made about, I think it is probably, most of that is coming from people who don't have the kahunas to do it themselves.
Or they're just not designed, which is okay. I'm not knocking the person. 'Cause
Well, you
I
need
believe
those people, too.
I believe that there are people out there that are designed to support someone else's dream.
Yeah.
And then, make a living and they don't want the responsibility. That's fine. I
Yeah,
get
totally.
it. Some days I'm like, I wish I was doing that.
Yeah, sure.
2 hurricanes come through, you're like, I don't want this.
Yeah. No.
But then there's people who are designed to create,
Yeah.
have a vision, bring it to life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up, is there anything else you want to mention, maybe about future plans for Bavaro's, or anything you want to mention that maybe we haven't talked about?
I got a gift for you. I might as well give it to you
Oh,
now.
boy. Here we go.
So on our 16th anniversary, we launched this wine. It's after my son, Santino Bavaro, and it's
Santino
bottled.
Bavaro.
Italian
Wow.
family. Funny thing is, he has a vineyard in Italy. He brings the product over and packages it here in Tampa. So
Oh, how
back when I
cool.
was peddling pizza, didn't have a pot to piss in. He was peddling wine for a company. Now he's got this huge facility that
Wow.
he does the wine. So this is a Super Tuscan. It's a blend of 3 different types of grapes. It's really good. So we launched this for our anniversary, and this is sold at Bavaro's, and it's
Okay.
doing really well. So
That's awesome.
So that's for you.
Dan, thank you so
that's,
much.
So that's
I appreciate
a new project that.
Yes.
And
We're
all the
gonna-
free time I got, that's the stuff I work on.
I love it. Yeah, we're going to get into this tonight. Actually, I was
It's
just
really
saying
good.
before we started, we need to have some wine tonight, so that'll be perfect. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
And future plans, any more locations opening or anything like that we should
So
know about?
I'll be honest with you. We're taking 25, and we're working on ourselves.
Okay, that's awesome.
That was the direction that I started talking about in October and started laying the land for that.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of internal work. We're looking to grow the business within the 4 walls of all of our locations now, and we're going to be working on our processes.
Okay,
We're
very
just going to
cool.
be strengthening from within, and then when the year is over, probably before, because I'm a visionary, see these things and I get antsy.
Yeah,
It's been
sure.
really hard. You open 4 businesses and close 1 in 1 year. That was 2024. Now I'm going into 25 like, wait a minute, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, right. It's probably hard for you to take
I'm
that
like,
step back.
yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta figure out.
Are
Someone
you an
close to
instant
these, like-
gratification person too?
What do you mean?
Like, do you need things like right away? Like once you have an idea in your head, do you feel like I got to execute this like right away?
One of my mentors has Bob Johnston, a good close friend of mine, business partner. We did a concept together that over 4 years it didn't make it. We launched it in COVID. It was called Aranzo. It was like a Chipotle style Italian concept.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, it didn't make it. But being with him as much as I have over the last 5 years, it's like, slow down.
Yeah.
It's like he calls me the best hip shooter he's ever seen in his life.
Oh, right.
So I'm learning to be patient.
Okay.
I'm learning to be strategic.
Yeah.
I'm learning more, getting more educated on like our financials and stuff like that. So like I'm enjoying that growth process myself right now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, I might need you to mentor me because I got to work on those things myself. So
it's a lot of work.
I'm sure. Well, guys, this is Dan Bavaro. Bavaro's Pizza, again, locations all over Tampa Bay, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Sarasota, the airport, and Amalie Arena. So if you haven't checked them out, definitely do so. And thank you again so much for joining me. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. It was great. Appreciate it.
All right, yeah, we'll see you guys in the
Thank
next
you,
episode.
Tampa Bay.